If you work with Google Sheets a lot and you find that you are redundantly creating rows, and one of the things that you want to do is try and figure out how to automate those, a problem that you might run into is how do I create links within those rows? With a manual process, it's pretty simple. You use the function hyperlink, or you can also just simply enter a link. But in this case, if I wanted to have, let's say, google.com/search equals Matt, and then I wanted my label to be search for Matt. I would essentially enter that link, right, and then that would allow me to go and click, and it would search, right. So um, that's effectively the process that we're going to try and automate, because doing this manually makes a lot of sense if you have simple rows, but when you have thousands and thousands of these, and what I ran into was a situation where I was scraping web pages, and what I wanted to do was insert rows of data for each page that I scraped. And each page that I scraped, I wanted to insert the URL of the page, and I wanted to be able to go and reference that whenever I was needing to look at it. So what I found was going back to that original function that I showed, the hyperlink function. If you want to ever use a Excel function inside of AppScript, the best way to do that is basically to just wrap it inside of a function and pass in the variables the same way that you would inside of Sheets. So in this case, I'm passing in items, but those items capture the two variables that you saw here. So if we look at hyperlink, so hyperlink, it takes a URL and a link label. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass in a URL and I'm going to pass in a label. So in this case, you just simply wrap the function, put in the items, and then what that's going to do is write that to the sheet for the given row. Now, obviously, this is a very simplistic example where I'm only writing that, but you're doing spreadsheet, I'm getting the active spreadsheet, and then I'm just appending a row, and then I'm inserting that line, where the line is the return value of hyperlink function. So I could have extended this. I could have added a lot more data into that, and I'll show you just quickly how that works. But if I were to run this right now, you'll see that each of those gets inserted. And if I were to click on one of these rows now, I can go to that hyperlink as if I were to have inserted it manually. So everything's great. But if I go back over here and let's say that I just want to have more data, we're going to append row to a line, but we're going to do, let's say, test line and so we're actually just for the sake of fun, hook, line, sinker. All right. Okay. And if I would insert that, we're going to see hook, line, sinker. So you can insert the data however you want. It's going to write that, and then you're going to be able to use those hyperlinks with the appropriate labels, which is what you're after. So this is just a quick sample of a way to automate something that you may have run into that requires a lot of manual effort. I did this for a client of mine where I was scraping web pages and creating rows of data, again, with a reference to the URL. And most of the time that reference was simply, click here to view page. So my label text wasn't the full URL. Otherwise, you end up with lines that go crazy. So, like, if I were to copy this line and just paste it in there, you'll see that. But if I were on this page and it's a test, then it becomes unavailable. Not the prettiest example in the world. So, what you're effectively accomplishing here is human intelligible labels, and that's what you're after. So, simple, easy hack for creating those rows dynamically with AppScript. So hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the thread below.